Hola, estudiantes. What we are going to do today is just take time and talk about the imperfect tense. So you should have your notes, your Google Doc notes out, and this information, just follow along and I'll kind of talk about what the imperfect tense is. We already have been learning the preterite. You know that is to talk about past events. The imperfect, if we see in the first point here, it says use the imperfect to speak in the past. So in Spanish, we actually have two tenses that we use in the past. We have the preterite and the imperfect. So two options. And how do we know which one to use? We kind of have to think about what are we talking about in our sentence, and that will let us know if we need to use preterite or imperfect. So as we see here, it says the imperfect is used to describe something that was not perfected or not completed in the past. So we can think of this as a description, an ongoing action. So there's no beginning point, there's no ending point. It's kind of think of it something continuous. So we use it to talk about number one, something that was happening. So verbs that end in ing. So for example, if I said I was talking, that would be something that we use in the imperfect. Number two, talk about something you used to do. So for example, if I said, when I was a kid, I used to play with my toys. I'm talking about something that I used to do in the past. It was ongoing. Number three, say how old someone was. We use the verb tener with it when we talk about age, right? And this one we're going to say, for example, if I was saying when I was 8 years old, and I'm just kind of sharing what happened then, I would use imperfect when I said I was 8. And then last, tell what time it was, ser. So we know we use ser to talk about the time, like son las, but to talk about something that happened in the past, let's say I want to communicate, it was 12 o'clock. Talk about when I ate lunch and it was 12 o'clock, I would use the imperfect to communicate that time. Okay, some more things to keep in mind. How do we form the imperfect? So we're going to drop our ending, whether it's an AR, ER, IR ending, and we're going to add a new ending back on. So if it's an AR verb, these are the endings that we have. We have aba, abas, aba, abamos, abais, and aban. So nosotros is the only one that has an accent mark. So for example, if I was saying I was talking, we know hablar is to talk or to speak. I take away that AR ending and then add the new ending back on. So I was talking, I would say hablaba. Or if I was saying we were walking, caminábamos. Or let's think of another example here. If we were kind of looking at pasar, pasaban. So all we're doing is just taking off that ending, put one of these back on. If you have an ER or IR verb, they share the same exact ending. So really just two charts we need to memorize here. And we have ia, ias, ia, íamos, íais, ían. All of the I's, the E's, they all have accent marks. So just add them to every single one and you have the correct spelling. So we're looking at this, whether you're using like comer, comía, or if you're using escribir, escribía. So ER, IR endings, take it off, put one of these back on. So once we know these charts, pretty simple. And it's nice because in the preterite, we have a million irregulars, right? Imperfect, there's 3 verbs. We just need to remember they don't follow the rules in the previous slide. So these 3 verbs you're gonna have to memorize on your own, but the rest, any other verb, look at the 2 charts on the previous slide. So we're only memorizing here ear. We have iba, ibas, iba, íbamos, ibais, iban. With ser, to be, we have era, eras, era, éramos, erais, eran. So if I said it was 12, remember we use ser in time. So I'd say eran las 12. And then ver, we have veía. So there's accent marks over all the I's here in ver. Veías, veía, veíamos, veíais, veían. And the reason why these are irregular, so for example, like there, if I try to chop off this ending and try to add my ending back on, that's not going to work. So it would be V-I-A. That's not going to work in Spanish. So that's why it has its own spelling. So we have veía. And then same with ear. If we take this away, we have nothing left. So we have iba, so it has its own spelling. Same with ser. If you take this away, that's not going to work in Spanish. So we have its own spelling, era. So that's why these three are irregular, because we need those extra letters to kind of help us form that verb. Okay, so practicar, there's translations from your notes here. So this is on your Google Doc. We're just going to go through a couple. You can always refer back to this presentation after you work on this on your own. So we said imperfect, we're talking about past events that was ongoing. So if I was describing the weather, for example, that's like a description. It was what was happening that day. So it was raining. I could say llovía, or I could also say estaba lloviendo. So notice that this could be kind of that ing verb, or we could just say it was raining with llovía. So this one is a good example. I used to walk to school. So let's say when I was a kid, every day I used to walk to school. That was my transportation. So that was something that was ongoing. It was a description of how I got to school. So I would say caminaba a la escuela. We know caminar is to walk. So I would take off that AR ending and add aba, caminaba. Okay, I'll go through one more example here. We fought every day. So we know in our vocab list in this current chapter, pelear is to fight. We're talking about every day. So let's say me and my siblings, we fought every day. It always happened. My parents were probably sick of it. We really didn't fight every day, but you get the idea. We fought every day. It was all the time and happened. So we would say peleábamos todos los días. So think of this. If you notice kind of the English sentences, we're describing things. It was raining, talking about what used to happen. I used to walk to school, things that happen every day. So not really a starting point or ending point, is kind of something that was ongoing and happening. So that's the difference between this tense imperfect and the preterite. So go ahead and work on the rest of those notes on your document and let me know if you have any questions.